Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up, a beloved Walt Disney World cast member passes away, John Lasseter to leave the Disney company at the end of this year. All that, plus news and roundtable rapid fire, and much, much more. From the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 995 for the week of June 12th, 2018. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. Let the experts at Dreams Unlimited Travel help you plan the perfect Disney, Universal, cruise, or Adventures by Disney vacation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is John Magi. We're coming to you live from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida. Pete is not here this week. He is on a cruise with some other members of our team. I'm sure if you're watching social media and the different accounts out there, you've seen some of the great stuff they've been posting and the information and pictures and stuff. So I'm happy to be taking his place for this week. Mm-hmm. I'm also happy to be joined at the table by our Orlando team. Teresa Eccles.
Hey.
Kevin Close.
Hi, everyone.
Ryan O'Clavin.
Hello.
Julie Martin.
Hey, y'all.
And back in the production facility all by himself, Craig Williams.
I don't want to be all by myself.
Oh, I was just going to say, did you forget how to say hello?
Okay, Eric Carmen, calm down.
You can handle it.
Again, just go ahead, do your little thing, do your spiel.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed our new opening graphic. That was the first time I saw it. I thought it was pretty cool. What do you
Me
guys
too.
think?
I'm glad those weird pictures of us are gone.
Yeah.
You're not happy with those Brady Bunch images of us making each other? No.
Yeah, it looks good.
And I like the new logo. I think the new logo is very cool.
It's awesome.
I
A
like
lot of
it.
new stuff going
Someone
on.
said it looks like a snail, and
Oh, I see that now.
now it's all I can see.
Well,
No, I definitely think
you
it
see
looks
the
like
hidden
a
Mickey there, right? Am I not supposed to tell people about that?
It also reminds me of the aliens from Toy Story.
Oh yeah, I like it. I like the whole retro look of it.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. I like the opening. I like the logo.
I'm a fan.
Things are good. Me too.
Although that TV, somebody's going to have to get up and change the channel.
That is true. That's why
I like retro stuff, but not that.
I was the remote in the 60s at my
I was too in the 80s.
That's why you have children. So they won't change the channel. Great. Let's before we get started, let's do some housekeeping. As I mentioned, Pete and some of our other team members are currently on a Disney Cruise Line vacation. If you're watching our social media channels, you'll see some posts from there and pictures and video. It seems like they're having a good time. Jealous because they're on a double dip Castaway Cay cruise. Those are always fun. 2 trips to Castaway Cay. So I hope you guys are watching that. I also want Craig to tell us a little bit about some upcoming shows, especially we have an anniversary show coming up.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry. We don't really talk about the shows that much anymore on this, but we have a whole lot to go over because, this week, yesterday, was the edition back of the Disneyland Edition podcast. So
Premiere episode of
yes.
the new format for the Disneyland podcast.
Exactly.
Pretty cool.
So that's now available on YouTube and iTunes. So you can find that there if you completely missed about that. So that will now be returning every Monday for your watching and listening pleasure. With that, we also do have the Dreams Unlimited Travel Show that is on Mondays too. I just want to remind people that I know that while Kevin was hurt, that was gone for a couple weeks, but we are back at it now. We got episodes recorded, so it's going to be a weekly thing again until
Don't say it.
we run
Just
out.
Don't say it.
I was so close to saying something, but
Don't jinx it.
I know I don't want to always plug the show, but I want to say something. We did an episode this week's episode with Craig talked about his trip to Disneyland Paris. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed hearing him talk about his experience and what he got a chance to do. So I encourage everyone to check it out.
I do too. And so that's our Monday lineup. I know we also have the best and worst of Disneyland, but we're probably going to be moving that to Sundays just because releasing 3 things on Monday, we realize you only have so much time to watch and listen to stuff, so that might be a little bit overbearing. Wednesdays we still have the best and worst hosted by Rhino. Thursdays the Universal Edition, and Fridays right now I just wanted to point out that the Disney Dining Show is not gone, but we didn't get enough episodes recorded to allow for Pete's traveling, so that's why there wasn't one last week. That's why there's not going to be the one this week, but hopefully it'll return the next week as well too. And then for all the audio listeners out there, we have Connecting with Walt that releases on Fridays, and I do want to just make a mention on our facebook.com/disunplugged page. We do have a thread started where people can ask questions for an upcoming question and answer episode that we're doing. I just want to remind everyone that it's out there, and please ask questions that don't have anything to do with what we think Walt would think about things, because it's
Stop that.
Well,
please.
we tell people very upfront and honestly that Walt's the people who knew him best, people like Marty Sklar said, I couldn't tell you what Walt was thinking. It's not possible. So for 2 people who never met, well, Michael met Walt. For 1 person who's never met him and 2 people who've never been inside his head, we can't answer what we think he would think about things. So try not to ask questions like that. And then also just random show suggestions. We do take those into consideration, but we have so many ideas already on things we want to do that we don't really need the suggestions, but we do need questions.
So what new show are you going to do for Saturdays? Because you have to work every single day of the
please.
week.
I think they should remake Ren and Stimpy.
I would do that if I had the chance.
A live action version.
I'm sure it's something we'll eventually get pushed into Saturdays as well too, and it'll then be the inevitable. People realize that we do work 7 days a week, hours and hours and hours, and while it's fun, it's tough, and sometimes we need breaks. So that's why I'm going on vacation next week. Bye.
I don't want to give the misconception. There might not be a show on Saturday, but who in this room doesn't work 7 days a week?
Right, exactly.
Julie, calling her out.
She got.
Excuse me? I check emails every single day. I process ticket orders every single day. So you know what, Craig? I can't do it on air. Get off of me.
And you know what? She's a mother, so she's
I'm like,
way
I
beyond
have
any
way
of you
more,
guys.
way more responsibilities
Oh,
than you.
that-
Promise.
Corey tells me that he takes the bulk of the parenting, so
All right, this is turning into
Shots
another
Okay,
fired.
so now we know the theme of this show.
Really? This is
Let's
the
wind
episode,
Julie up.
this is an episode of Oprah. So let's move on to other things.
It might turn into it. I
What
might
is
cry.
the schedule for the big anniversary show that's coming up?
Oh,
When
yeah.
will that be?
I forgot. That was the other part. That is set to happen on July 20. Apologize.
I think it's right before the ABD trip at the end of the month.
Yeah, that's the 31st, so the 24th. July 24th will be episode 1000. And to hit that, we unfortunately are taking July 3rd off from a live show for this show in particular. Everything else will go up that week, just no live show that Tuesday. So keep that in mind.
Special guests will be appearing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Previous cast members will be showing up as kind of like a Frasier
I
episode.
so want to be here.
There,
Then.
yeah. That's it for me and housekeeping. Anybody else have any housekeeping?
I just want to acknowledge that today is June 12th, and it is 2 years since the Pulse tragedy. And, I was thinking about it. I think about it a lot, every day. But I was thinking about how it doesn't feel that much better 2 years later. And I just want to say, like, change starts with you on every level. Like, it's you'd think that would have been the last tragedy, but we've had tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And the only way that we can make that change is if you get out and do something. And I'm not talking about tweeting or being on Facebook or anything like that. You have to physically get out and do something, and that can be anything. And I was just thinking about how we all love Disney and why people tune into this show and everything like that. And it's all about, we just did that, what we love about Disneyland, and I edited that nonstop for the last couple of weeks, and I just kept listening to how we all talked about things we love and like magic and how it flows through us and stuff like that. Like, you can take that idea and that love of Disney parks and what you love about that sort of stuff and apply that to your everyday life when you're not here. So I would encourage people, in remembrance of this, to just take that little spark of magic and do that for somebody else in your life, a stranger, somebody somebody you walk by. You can do it at work, you can do it at home, you can just stop and listen, or just say, hey, I see you, or I appreciate you, or I love you, or any of that stuff. And just, we can make the world a better place just a little bit at a time, so it doesn't feel like we're just on this psychotic horse driving into that barn that's on fire. So
I would also add that one of the best things you can do, whatever your political affiliation, that you should register and vote and voice your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with anybody, but you should voice your opinion. It's your right. Do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Rhino. Actually, interesting sort of addition to that is when Kevin broke his arm, he was in regional
RMC.
RMC downtown, and it's right by Pulse. And we went and saw the memorial, first time we went to see it. So it's pretty powerful. If you're in Orlando, you might want to take a chance, take some time to go and see it. Pretty powerful. All right. Any other housekeeping?
Oh, well, I do have one more. Sorry, or I can wait to you.
I was just going to point out too, in that whole show lineup, we forgot to mention the "What We Love About Disneyland" video that went up yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
that's very important. That was supposed to kind of kick off our whole new spin on Disneyland and everything with it. And Rhino did an amazing job going through just hours and hours and hours of interviews and footage that I couldn't look at anymore, and I'm sure he couldn't either. And so he stepped up and was like, I'll edit it. And I'm like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy. And the end product was just absolutely fantastic. So if you still haven't watched it yet, even if you're not interested in Disneyland per se, it's literally one of the best things that has gone up on our channel, production value wise. So at least watch it for that reason.
How could you not be interested in Disneyland?
Well,
Everyone should go to Disneyland.
okay. A lot of people that think the logo's to Disneyland apparently don't care for
no.
Disneyland. So
Listen, I'm done with the controversy over the logo. Get over it.
I do have just a shout out. I try to remember the folks who take the time to say hello when we're in the parks and stuff like that. And there was a very enthusiastic woman, Teresa. I want to say her last name was Brady. I might be wrong, but she was from Chicago. I met her at Trader Sam's with Tyler, Katrina, and JJ the other night. And boy, was she excited to see us. And I'm sure that the Trader Sam's cocktails were helping that. But she listens to us every Tuesday in her shower. She told me 15 times in a row. And I made a note because I was like, there's no way I'm not going to bring you up, Teresa. So it was very nice to meet you. And thank you for saying hello. And she like
Sure how I
everyone
feel about showering with strangers.
I know.
Well, that's what I said.
And I'm thinking you're wasting water
Right?
because we're long-winded.
yeah.
Unless she fast forwards through John's part.
Those
or
are
something.
Teresa's times. That's like,
Right. I have a little housekeeping.
All right, go for it.
Craig, all you have to do is ask, sweetie, and I will do a dining review of Twisty Treat live on Friday. All you have to do is ask.
Craig, do me a
Okay.
favor. Don't ask.
Oh, the ice cream is cold.
Yeah, really.
No, I'm just
Yes.
messing with you.
Excellent. Anything else for housekeeping before we move on to news?
Oh, gosh, no.
All right, I'm going to give Teresa a little more time to get ready because Teresa has graciously accepted my order to
I have a
read the
question.
news.
Are all of the news or stories about cats?
I switched him up, didn't I tell you?
Well, she did. Anytime there's a proper noun, there's cats in there.
I
So
might change it to cat.
Cats leaves Disney at the end of the year.
And I'll tell you the story that I told you a few minutes ago. I was reading them out loud at home this morning just to make sure I got it. And Stella screams out, "What are you doing? Read it in your head." I said, "It's not the same. I got to say them out loud, right?"
You do have to say them out loud. All right.
We
On to
ready?
Teresa.
Lord help me. Okay. Story number 1. Grand Floridian greeter Richard Gerth has passed away. The adored greeter at Disney's Grand Floridian Spa and Resort, Richard Gerth, has sadly passed away at the age of 92. Richard Gerth started working at Walt Disney World in 1991, and his smile and happy disposition welcomed in families for generations. Gerth became such a staple at the Grand Floridian that many guests asked to take their picture with him, something that is not often done with frontline cast members. As much as guests loved Richard, he loved his job. During an interview in 2014, he said, "I think just about every day is a good day. To be acknowledged by another person is the greatest feeling that anyone could get out of a job." Gerth was a great representative of what a good cast member should be, and in 2013, Disney recognized this by awarding with the Walt Disney Legacy Award. The Walt Disney Legacy Award is the highest award a cast member can receive, and those that have honored with it wear a blue name tag rather than a traditional white one.
This is a sad story. However,
He did what he loved until he
did what
was
loved to
91.
do, right? Well, 92. Yeah.
What an
That's
awesome
like
life,
92,
though, right?
Yeah,
To
that's
live that long and be
92
able
years.
to work and do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my understanding that this happened quickly. From what I was watching the news, he had gone into a facility, and then it was very quick after that. So he will be missed for sure. He was definitely a staple at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think a lot of people, that didn't go to the Grand Floridian, they might have never heard of him, ever saw him. But, just as I like to go and resort hop around that area a lot of times. And, eventually you find yourself going in that entrance and you see him standing. Well, you saw him standing out there. And, I know people were fanatics over him and would always take their picture. I think for me, it's something that I always just I kind of took for granted. Like, oh yeah, Richard, he's still there and he's always going to be there. And it's just so sad now when he's really one of those cast members that I don't think he could ever truly be replaced. Like, there's never going to be a resort greeter that is on the level of him. And it's a piece of Disney magic died when he passed away. So hopefully a lot of people are still out there sharing their photos of him for years to come to remember him there.
Agreed. All right. Let's move on to our next news story.
All right, story number 2. John Lasseter to leave Disney at the end of the year. John Lasseter, co-founder of Pixar and chief creative officer of Pixar and Walt Disney Animation, will be leaving the Walt Disney Company at the end of 2018. Lasseter began a 6-month leave of absence back in November after coming under fire due to allegations of unwanted advances, including his trademark hugs. While he won't have an office, Lasseter will assume a consulting role until the end of the year. No replacements have been announced, but inside sources suggest that Frozen director Jennifer Lee will take on leadership role at Walt Disney Animation, and Pete Docter, director of Inside Out and Up, will do the same at Pixar.
I know you guys did this. You talked about this the last time the news story came up. So I'm not to diminish the accusations and the things that he's actually said he did. Let's talk a little bit about what we think the impact of him leaving the company is. I mean, for a while there was kind of this creative drought, especially in animation. And he really was the one who was credited with bringing, the animation back and bringing Imagineering up to a certain level. I mean, is he going to be missed, or can these people replace him?
I think that he's, if nothing else, there have been, in the last couple of years specifically, this strong storytellers in Pixar has always been strong with storytelling, but it seems like there's been a lot lately in the last couple of years that have really shined a lot more. And so I do think that there is another generation ready to go. So I think that he has not, I don't think that it was just him and nothing else, below him. I think he did a good job of kind of having the next group ready to rise up and continue on that tradition, if nothing else. That's at least the feeling I get from Pixar. And so if on top of that, the accusations are that he was holding back, women and people of color, then I can only imagine that this is going to kind of be after the drought comes the...
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a question that Pixar was making good creative choices in terms of the directors and the people making their movies. They kind of did get in that cycle of sequels, which I don't know if Lasseter was behind part of the push. Obviously, he was with the Cars movies. He wanted sequels for those. But if that is a decision that he made to really go through that sequel route, if anything, it kind of shame on him, because that's not as good. Whereas it seemed like at that time when they were starting to get that concept, I know they already had with Toy Story, but that's a different story altogether. But moving then back over to Disney, that was like when it seemed like he kind of backed away from Pixar a little bit. That's when he focused everything on Disney and started that entire juggernaut up with Frozen, Big Hero 6, all the hits that were just like back to back to back to back to back. So
I don't think that, I can't imagine that John Lasseter was the one who said we need sequel after sequel after sequel. I think that's more of a bean counter type of decision that says, listen, you've got this huge moneymaker thing. We need 2 and 3. And the good thing is that you have creative people who can make 2 and 3 that are still entertaining.
Yeah.
And people still enjoy.
Ultimately, though, I think when people say, "Oh, well, we're worried about Pixar," I don't think Pixar is the concern. I think Pixar, the cream of the crop, is always going to rise back up. Brad Bird's always going to come back to make something. Andrew Stanton is, Lee Unkrich, Pete Docter. They're always going to come back. The concern for me is what happens in the Disney side of the house. Is it going to stay as strong? You mentioned Jennifer Lee in there. With her presence, I think that is a very positive outcome with her. But beyond that, I would hope that Disney animation stays strong. I would hope that eventually, maybe even though computer graphics are everything, they could go back to some 2D animation every now and then. I know it's not the future, but
but we're seeing
it's
it.
Nice.
You see the occasional 2D out there. I think my interpretation of what John Lasseter did was he was the one who was allowing the creative forces to happen. That he was the one who was fostering the environment of making these movies.
But if he wasn't fostering it for everyone or making people feel uncomfortable in their job, it was time for him to go.
Right. So the question is, are the people who are coming up still going to have his philosophies of making movies? That's where I was questioning.
We talked about the fact that change happens and it's hard, but change makes things grow.
Right.
I don't think the storyteller, just because the person who's the face of it, just because they're not there anymore, I don't feel like the storyteller then loses all their stories. They still have these heart and emotions and things they want to put on the screen. So as long as there's still spirit behind the people who are trying to make these movies, that's where the success is going to come from. If it's all half-hearted and just put out just to have stuff go out, then that's when we're going to see a dip in quality. And it's going to be like 80s in Walt Disney Animation with Fox and the Hound and Black Cauldron in that era over again. But I don't think they're in that position. I shied away from Robin Hood, at least. So.
I love Robin Hood. Oh,
Also, with animation, these movies are in process for many years.
Yeah.
So there'll be years of this stuff being put out, but we'll see what happens. All right. Moving on.
All right, story number 3. Green sea turtle rescued by SeaWorld Orlando showing improvement following surgery. A green sea turtle was recently rescued and brought into SeaWorld Orlando, where the animal rescue team noticed that the turtle was dehydrated and was not digesting food properly. The team ran a CAT scan on the turtle, which showed that there was a life-threatening blockage in his intestines. During a 3-hour surgery, the veterinary team was able to remove ocean debris, that's sad, from the turtle's intestines, which ultimately saved his life. The turtle, named Colin, is reportedly still in critical condition, but John Peterson of SeaWorld says that he is showing the signs of improvement the team likes to see post-surgery. Colin has to remain dry until the surgical site heals, so he will stay put at SeaWorld's quarantine rehab until veterinary team confirms that he can be safely returned to his natural environment. SeaWorld is one entity in which a very large group of partners that work together with one goal: care for these animals and get them back out as quickly as we can, Peterson said.
So I think, the opportunity was missed here. This sea turtle with an intestinal block should have been named Colon instead of Colin. That's the first mistake.
Should we just vote him off the island?
Should we just get rid of him now? Here's the deal. The reason why I wanted to include this news story is of all of the bad press that SeaWorld gets and all of the problems with SeaWorld and their attendance issues and all of this is what SeaWorld does best.
And I think what happens is we in Orlando see it because it's here. It's in our news. It's newsworthy in Orlando. I hope this is newsworthy everywhere because this is what SeaWorld does the best. You're right. It's not a theme park. SeaWorld is a rescue mission.
and also to those of you who throw your trash into the ocean, stop. Seriously, stop. I see people do it all the time. I pick up other people's trash when I'm on the beach because this is what happens. These little creatures, they die because of your negligence and your laziness to not throw your trash away.
The big thing used to be 6-pack containers, and I think people got the idea and understand that you're supposed to cut those rings. Do you know what one of the worst offenders is? Balloons.
Yep.
Helium balloons that get away. They
There's
they
a
wreak havoc.
there's a whole meme going around that says balloons don't go to heaven, which is true. They don't go to heaven. They
end up
go
in
to
the
the
water.
ocean, and animals eat them.
One of the nice things is you see cruise lines are changing a lot of what they do. Cruise lines are now banning straws from
There's a big
drinks.
push to go to biodegradable paper straws.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing.
Or don't use them at all.
yeah. Do you really need straws? I agree.
Oh, I'm fighting the war on straws. I hate straws.
They
It's-
wrinkle your lips.
I don't like that when you go to any restaurant, they like throw them at the table and expect you to use it. It's like, I didn't ask for that. You could have saved that and saved some plastic and paper.
I have to
And
go
I'm
back
being
and-
genuine about this.
Good,
I hate
I'm glad.
it. I don't like
Because
straws.
I am too.
I have to go
I
back
know
and
what's wrong right now.
What was that, Norma Desmond? What
They
happened?
wrinkle your lips. You can't be sipping out of them. You get those.
You get
Like
the old
you'll-
lady wrinkles
yeah,
around the lips if
you
you, do
gotta-
that too much.
You don't want those lip wrinkles. Get out of here.
All right. Well, that's a good
Can
reason.
you
here.
borrow your gloss?
I think it has his own.
And sea turtles are absolutely one of my favorite sea creatures. So it just kind of struck a nerve for me.
I agree. And I'm glad that SeaWorld's still doing this, not just for sea turtles. They do it for all sort of
Yes.
marine life. So good on them. All right.
How'd I do?
You did great. Now you got to close it out.
And that will do it for the news.
Awesome. Good job, Teresa. We're going to move on to rapid fire. I know we usually do a discussion, but I'm saving our discussion for the end, if that's okay with you, Craig.
That is fine with me. You tell me what to do.
All right. We're going to move on to rapid fire, and we are going to actually start with Teresa. Oh, gosh. It just makes sense for us to go around the
Barbara
table
Walters.
that way.
And
Hang
now
on.
we're
You
going to
hit a work
stall for
today.
time.
And we're going to solve for time.
Okay, stall for time.
Do that lip
gosh.
thing again, Ryan.
Yeah, do that lip thing again while I get my glasses.
That's
These
I don't want people to see my lip wrinkles.
mustache to hide
Yeah, the lip wrinkles. You know, too many soda bottles.
And I shaved mine off. I need to put mine back in.
Does anyone else not believe that Rhino's lip wrinkles are from straws?
You know, I said it and I thought it. And then I was like,
from
I have dug
blowing
my
kisses
own
at
hole
people.
here.
Go spontaneously blind and deaf.
All right, Teresa, are you ready? Do you have your rapid fire?
Please change the subject.
I'm ready. I'm on it. Okay. Okay. Disney announces a once-in-a-lifetime Pandora camping experience.
Is this about the jewelry beads?
I don't know. I haven't read this one yet. Okay. Hopefully I'm good on this one.
Call your daughter and see if she knows
Okay.
what's that.
A few lucky guests will have the opportunity to experience a Walt Disney World theme park overnight. This chance comes on Oh My Disney's recently announced contest to go glamming. Glamorous camping.
Glamping, yeah.
Glamping.
Oh, glamping.
Glamping.
Sorry. Glamping.
me to hold it for you?
Yes, please. Hold it. Rhino needs to hold it for me. Glamorous camping. Oh, my. In Pandora, the world of Avatar at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Interested visitors may upload a video explaining why they deserve to escape to Walt Disney World. One winner will be selected and can bring a guest on one of these once-in-a-lifetime adventures. Contest entries close at 11:59 p.m. on June 21st. 2018. Legal residents of the United States over the age of 18 at the time of entry are eligible for this experience. For more information on the prize and how to enter the contest, visit DCamp official website. Is that it?
So, are you going to spend the night in Pandora in a tent?
Yeah.
Am
would-
I?
I'm like
No.
a fancy thing.
Me neither.
I would love to do this. It's one of those moments where I hate that my sister is a cast member and it makes me ineligible for all of the cool
well, what
giveaways
makes it
glamorous?
glamorous?
Well,
It's
when
90
the third
degrees
shift
at
comes
night
out
in
and sprays
Florida.
you down with the hose, like they have to clean the sidewalks.
Stella and I
at the
spent
end.
the night one time at SeaWorld years ago when
'Cause
she
you
was
got
like
locked
in?
7.
Was it the Halloween thing?
Yes, we got locked in.
Was that because you were hiding in the bathrooms?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was not glamorous in any way. I mean, we just laid on the hard ground in a...
I would need upfront details. Like, is this going to be an air-conditioned tent?
I assume
Yeah.
because they're saying glamping, my assumption is it's going to be air conditioned and you'll have sort of a realish bed.
So I can
And
sleep in the
there'll
Four
Real-ish.
Seasons?
Right.
Right.
Your bathroom's
And
going to
look
be the
at
Pandora
Avatar.
bathrooms, like the guest bathrooms, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I
where do you
don't know.
shower? I don't know.
I think the
all
idea
this.
of, I mean,
It's
I wouldn't do it. But I think the idea of spending the night in a theme park is
That's
kind
cool.
of fun.
Let's do it. Who's going to sign up?
Aren't we
Not
eligible?
me. I don't want to do it
I'll sign up.
unless I can stay at the Four Seasons.
I'll sign up. I
I'd
don't
spend the
think
night
I'm
at
related to a
Epcot
cast
if I
member
could pick which pavilion I got to sleep in.
Yeah,
I could if I could
think
pick who
about
I'm
that,
gonna
too.
sleep
They're probably
with.
going to wake you up at 6 in the morning and be like, get out.
Wow. Yeah, they wake you up. You got to get out before the park opens.
Yeah. Like
I'm
dragging
sure.
your tent behind you in
And
your
like,
pajamas.
can you hear
Looking
the
around.
third shift people working? Like, it's not going to be super quiet.
There's a lot of speculation. We should find out details. Teresa, get some details on that and follow up on
Okay, Craig, get some details from me. And
I would assume it's going to be a
it's my
very
turn.
large tent that is like, think about an expedition sized tent like you would see in movies
Like
where there's
Jumanji.
enough, something like that, massive with nice comfortable beds thrown inside, a portable air conditioning unit, maybe even a porta potty right outside of it, so that way you don't go to the bathroom.
Fun.
And it's
Like out of
probably going to be
Africa.
insulated. It's
With all the
that's the whole
furniture.
point of glamping. It's
We have a different
glamorous.
idea.
Porta
Glamorous
potties are not
camping.
glamorous.
is it you and just the person? Well, I don't even know.
Okay,
Two
never mind.
people.
Yeah,
Never
at
mind.
this point, we're guessing, and I don't think we should guess anymore.
Rhino, let us know how it goes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Teresa, for that confusing rapid fire. Kevin?
I'm going to talk about ABD.
All right.
ABD released 2019 dates and offered an early booking discount. The first couple of spaces on each departure are eligible for an early booking discount. Once they're gone, they're gone. We are finding there are still several departures in most categories that still have the early booking discount. It's $500 per person off your trip for international trips and $400 off your adventure for domestic trips. This ends the middle of July or until the discounts sell out. So if you're interested in Adventures by Disney, it's a great time to book. I'm getting several emails because every year we announce Diz exclusive trips for the next year, and we have a couple of them planned. Don't write to me. I can't book them. I don't have a contract. Dreams and the Diz don't usually take off the rack adventures. What we do is we customize them. We plus them, customize them. We change them a little bit. And this year we're going to do the same thing. So I have two. One will be a summer trip. One will be a fall trip. I'll tell you more when I know more. But I can't release anything until ABD signs a contract and John signs a contract. And I have pricing to share with you. So I'm told hopefully by the end of next week I'll have more information. And we'll release the information on one of the podcasts. That's for you, Valerie.
Thank you, Kevin. Rhino?
Okay, so mine is if you don't know, the Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix Live is now a thing that's happening at Epcot through the summer. And they have some new treats that are inspired by this show. There's nothing really overly exciting. The I Am Groot sipper is there, and you can get it with a fountain drink, obviously. And then there's something called a Rocket Fuel slushy with frozen Coke and bourbon. So that's for the adults. And then at the Fife and Drum Tavern, you can try the I Am Float root beer with vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, and mint leaves. Or the Awesome Mix Slushie that has layers of frozen lemonade, blue raspberry, and strawberry. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Disney celebration without a cupcake.
I want to point out, like the drink you mentioned last, the slushy. If you think about the flavors, it's red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
So it's literally the same red, white, and blue slushies that they like roll out every year for the 4th of July and other stuff, and they just changed the name on them.
Sure did.
And I'm pretty sure that the Coke float with the bourbon in it has also been
Yeah,
around a
it's
while.
something. Sure
So
it
it's really like
They literally added
make
mint
something
leaves.
new.
But calling it rocket fuel is pretty awesome.
Well, it's a lot better than that
It's too
show.
bad you can't see him. He's back
know,
here with us
I saw
today.
it.
Yeah.
Rhino, can you explain what the Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix Live thing is
I
for
don't.
those of us who don't know?
I think Craig put it best where he said somebody thought of this show after their car accident and they hadn't been diagnosed with the concussion just yet, but they were like, I've got it. This is how we're going to bring the Guardians into the show. But it's supposedly Star-Lord has the Xandar and Nova Prime are sending their people to Earth to talk about their culture, and Star-Lord knew
Please
of
put the
Epcot.
camera on Kevin while he describes it.
You're just saying words.
Star-Lord knew of Epcot, and he wanted to come and bring his 70s, 80s culture, the music that his mother left for him here. And so he's bringing a band of these space men and women with him, and him and Gamora are going to do a little show at the American thing. If you want to watch a video, Craig did a video. There's one with him and Kylie on the Diz Unplugged, and then there's just the show on the Diz, right? That's
Yeah.
up there now. And because I watched it when he was doing the Facebook thing, and this reminds me of like when Disney was like, you know what'll be a great idea? The Ninja Turtles at Hollywood Studios, or how about a Goosebumps show, or like Barbie, like, and you're like, as an adult, I kind of wish I had seen it, but that couldn't be good. So it's one of those where I love Guardians. I love what they did with it in California, but this is super cheesy. I don't know. I haven't seen it in person yet, though, so I'm gonna wait.
So it's a show. Basically, it's a show. Is it a stage show?
Yeah,
Or
it's
is it
on
like-
the American Gardens theaters, and I will say it's mostly music. The majority of it is music, and the musicians they got for it, all the talent is just out of this world, and no pun intended on that. They are very very good at what they do. And I said it in the video, I've said it multiple times now. If they just would have put this band up there and let them not have to get face painted and all that, just put them up as they are, as humans, and say, we want you to add some music into Epcot at the American Gardens Theater, sing and play, I would probably stop and watch and listen to them. However, if it's not just that, it's then these terribly written dialogues in between to incorporate Star-Lord and Gamora. And on top of that, at least the two shows I watched, the audio mixing was like all over the place. So if they try to talk while the musicians are playing, it's just like... It's like, oh yeah, I definitely
Like Charlie Brown's
just heard.
parents.
Essentially,
Gamora died.
King Llama in here says, spoiler alert, King Llama in here says it's the Epcot's Beetlejuice graveyard review, if you've ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a pretty accurate description of the show, if anyone's
well,
ever
they
seen that.
also took a lot of performers from Universal
yeah,
and inserted them right into the show.
Beetlejuice, black the suit.
Well, like one of the guys who is playing Star-Lord in it was a staple of Halloween Horror Nights. He was in
Bill and Ted.
So it's they've definitely. There is always crossover between Disney and Universal cast members, and this is a big instance.
Especially if you
of
get
it,
into
but-
like sort of equity performers.
Well, I'm
and
going to be a
stuff.
nerd for a second, too. The thing that really kind of bugs me is the storyline. I know, worse
Just
than
a
I already
second.
was. Is, Disney's all about, Craig and I were talking about this. Like, when they bought Star Wars, they got rid of the hyperspace hoopla because it essentially made Star Wars like a farce. It was making fun of the property a little bit. And we thought, okay, well, now they're going to take it seriously because they own it. And now here they are. They've done a very similar show. But also, he says in the second movie that he's never been back to Earth. And so they're essentially like, if this is supposed to all be in continuity, I don't understand
What's he doing here?
because he says very specifically in the second movie he hasn't been to Earth.
Well, maybe
This
this
takes
is
place-
the future, and he's
wearing
already
his-
been back
He's
to
wearing
Earth.
his outfit from the first movie. Is all I'm saying.
All right. This has gotten way too in depth for me.
I understand Julie's rapid fire. I'm just
I
guessing.
I don't know. Let's
All
see.
right.
You will.
Thank you, Rhino. Let's move on to Julie. Julie, what's your rapid fire?
Well, anyway, so today's the 12th. So in 3 more days, guys, The Incredibles 2
Oh
is
yeah.
coming out. And I'm super excited. My kids are super excited. In celebration of this, you can get an Incredibles 2 button beginning June 15th in celebration of the movie.
Cupcakes and buttons. That's
Yeah,
what they do.
cupcakes and buttons. But I really was more excited
people-
about just the fact that the movie's coming out. I really don't care about the
But people
buttons.
love that. People
Yeah.
love buttons.
They're complimentary and only available while supplies last.
Buttons.
We
Get
actually
me one
went
right
with
now.
Corey to see the Incredible Summer at Tomorrowland. So I remembered why we don't go in the summertime. It was so hot. Oh my God, we were all miserable. But it was cute. Like they have I forgot what the monster, like the mechanical machine that comes after Mr. Incredible. That
Omnibot.
yeah. So you could take photos in front of that. And Ferris, he was doing the whole trying to fight it off. It's adorable. And we saw most of them walking around the park. I didn't actually do any meet and greets. We rode the people mover to keep cool. But it was really interesting to see how they have it all set up and how they're promoting it. And
I'm
wait.
excited about this
I can't
movie
wait. I
more than
cannot
just
wait.
about anything recently.
Especially because of the
movies.
premise,
Yeah.
you know? So anyway.
Excellent. Thank you, Julie. Craig, what about you?
Okay, so Disney shared additional details of the new Play Disney Parks app that will be releasing at some point. So they announced the app back in April that it would be released, and it would be a way to help play with friends and family as you were waiting in the lines at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. There would be interactive, immersive experiences in some of the queues with it, and there would also be trivia that is involved in this app. And so now it is what I was going to say. The update on it is that the app will be free of charge, and it's now available for pre-order on the Apple App Store as well as Google Play. So it's not available yet, but it will be coming soon. And this is just like, it's a separate thing from My Disney Experience, so you're not going to be able to find it in there. It's just, it's a different thing altogether. So you're not forced into downloading it like My Disney Experience, but it looks really cool. I love, just as a general role of it, the artwork that they designed for it. It's fun, it's fanciful, and hopefully the game is just as fun.
Shag artwork.
It does,
A little bit, yeah. No, so I'm very excited to see how this works when it comes out.
Is it going to be every park will you be able to play, or does it just look like it's Magic Kingdom for now?
It says Disneyland and Walt Disney World, so I would assume that the plan is to get all the Walt Disney World parks in, but I'm sure at launch it'll probably be limited.
So this is great. So another reason for people to have their heads in their phones.
Yes, awesome.
While they're in line, right?
My favorite thing.
I know. And you want to yell at them, you're at a theme park. Look up once in a
No,
while.
it's the ones that stand in the middle of the walkway looking at their phone.
But at
Or
least
the families that walk hand in hand down the walkway.
At least with something like this, even if their heads are in their phones, at least it's not just scrolling on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. It's getting something that connects them to the place that they are. So I guess that's a silver lining
Craig is
on
always
it.
a grass is always greener kind of guy, isn't he? He's always a sunny side of the street kind of
get
guy. We
old.
love that.
And no, I hate Disney. I just want to say on record now
goodness.
officially, I hate Disney.
Oh, my God.
Universal's
Trying to find
the
something to
only
like
cool
about it.
place. So I'm
man.
just faking this all along.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm glad it came out on my show.
You know, this is like therapy
He's a
every
Disney
week.
sheep in Universal Wolf clothing.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. That'll do it for Rapid Fire. So we're going to move on to our discussion topic. And I know that Pete usually gives you our discussion topic ahead of time so you guys can be prepared
I didn't
for
get
it.
this email.
Right, but I like to torture you. So I am going to bring it up now. And you guys are going to have to participate even though you don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Maybe I won't. Okay.
This is actually inspired by a conversation that we had on our Dreams Unlimited travel show this week. Greg went to Disneyland Paris, and he talked about the fact that there was a particular attraction in Disneyland Paris that he thought was very cool, and he wished it would come to Walt Disney World. And we started to have a tiny, tiny micro conversation about, is this really the right thing to do? Are the parks getting too homogenized? Is the fact that these other attractions are coming to Walt Disney World, does that change anything? Things like Tron, and what was the other one? I had Ratatouille, right? These particular attractions that are the big attractions in other destinations. Is this a good thing that they're coming to Walt Disney World, or should they stay in their own park?
I like it in like the aspect of bringing international things to domestic parks and vice versa if they want, because it might be a lot easier for somebody in that side of the world to go to those parks and experience it, and like we love it, but it's also a hurdle for us to get to like Shanghai or something like that.
But now is that selfish? Is that just saying, well, we want all this stuff here
I'm not
because
saying
this is
both
what I
parks.
can get to?
Put it in one of the two domestic parks, so it still causes you. So those two are still relatively different. Like, so when they announced Star Wars Land, my thing was, are they going to be exactly the same? That was the big one for me. That I was kind of like that seemed a little disappointing for me, because I like how we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy property represented here, but it's not the same experience that they have created in California. So it still gives you something different to do. Or like Pirates in Disneyland is different than our Pirates. I like when you have the property, but there's still something different about it. I don't like when like what you're talking about, when it's like a clone of the attraction or something. It feels lazy.
Anybody else?
I like the fact that they're different in different parks. I like the fact that there's a reason to go. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see Mystic Manor really bad. I like the idea that I agree with you.
Yeah.
The fact that the same attraction can be different in different places, but I also like the fact that there's an anchor that draws you.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that certain parks have certain things that make you want to go visit.
Yeah, that's kind of like to go back to the whole Ratatouille aspect of it, because I was kind of thinking about that a little bit after we had this conversation the other day. It's like, what I was trying to think, like, well, how this has to be an exact clone of the ride. So for the people who haven't been on it yet, it's a screen-based ride. There are some physical sets that you go through, but the majority of the ride is just pure screens. So they can't really change it too much. I mean, I guess they could change up the videos, but for the storyline to work, it has to be an exact clone. So how would you make that interesting and different and unique? And
I think the mechanism for that particular ride, the mechanism of the cars is completely customizable. You can make those cars do whatever you want to do. So you could change the story up.
Exactly. Well, they also, with ours, it's a big part of their attraction is that you end and right there looking through a window is Chez Remy, and that's something that we're definitely not getting. And so that's like the story continues on into there. So that's like a way to change it. But that's coming full circle in that's one of the things that I now appreciate going to the other coast or going to Paris. I like when things really can be just changed marginally. It has to have the same feel, the same concept, but there has to be a little bit of a change. I don't think I want any cloned rides anymore. And as much as I loved Ratatouille there, I don't think I want it here. I'm glad that I'll be able to ride it more often, but there was something just very special about it in France.
Well, yeah, hello.
I
You're
know.
making me want to go because it's one of my favorite movies, and I've never been.
I think they should take that technology and make something for here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't think they should bring Tron here. I think they should take that. I know you're very.
I know. I would be sad.
However,
That's why.
The thing is this, and I understand where some people are coming from. Some people think to themselves, "I am never going to get to these other parks." You don't know that. Mm-hmm. You don't know. You guys are young. You don't know if you're going to get to all these parks.
I am young. I don't know.
Best theme park ride ever is Ratatouille.
First on my list, if I could go to a different park, is to go to Paris,
right,
and then to go to Japan.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I want to go to.
If I had my way, we would go back and get the Mickey Mouse review from Tokyo Disneyland and put it back where PhilharMagic is. But that's just me.
I think all parks should have some of the basic things that are almost identical, maybe slightly tweaked. But I think everyone should have something that the others don't have.
Well, I like how Space Mountain is like the thread that runs through the parks, but it's different
in every park.
Yeah,
But so is It's a Small World, and they're different in every park.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do too. None of them are
Clones.
exact.
Yeah.
They're not
Because
Xeroxes.
I don't want to go to Disneyland and ride Small World and go, man, it's just like ours. What's the point?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that, there's no humidity. What's the point?
That's what I'm saying. So I love the idea of the Tron attraction, and that's why I want it here. But it's like what you're saying too. I don't really want it. I wish there was a different way. Like maybe it could tell the story in a different way and not be. I don't want someone to be like, okay, pick the track up, bring it over, drop it down here. I want it to be our own interpretation of Tron.
I tried to be a geek just for a little bit right now. Think about it.
It takes up a lot of space.
Tron takes up a lot of space. And I mean, this isn't new. I mean, the story is that when they were building Walt Disney World, they built attractions at the same time they were doing Disneyland.
The Haunted Mansion. They were building the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. They were building it here
to save money. And again, it's not exactly the same ride or anything, but this is not a new concept. But I think it's selfish for us here and those who can travel just to Walt Disney World to say, I want the best rides.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just cherry pick all those rides from those other parks and put them in our park. I don't think it's.
Yeah, but we've sent rides to other places too. I mean, Disneyland Paris has Phantom Manor, which is basically the Haunted Mansion. So, I mean, it's not like we're just sending,
But again, I think that falls along the lines of it's been tweaked a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's a little bit different than
it is. Isn't that what we're saying? That it's great to get the, as Ryan keeps saying, the property?
I think Tron and Ratatouille are coming as is. I could be wrong.
Well, Star Wars is the first one where I was like, this is a major not just an attraction. This is an entire area that is going to be like picked up, dropped over. I think ours is. You could argue, well, we have the hotel. We're going to have the hotel.
There's going to be
entrance and
slight
stuff,
differences. There's going to be entrance and exit differences and
Well, they
flow
did the same
differences.
thing with Harry Potterville.
Well, that Harry Potterville. That was actually Harry Potter was the first time I felt that when they announced, okay, well, now we're going to build Hogwarts in Hollywood. I was a little disappointed because I was hoping it would be like a different area of the Harry Potter universe, so you could go visit there and then be like, okay, well, now I've gone from Hogwarts here to Diagon Alley there to here, and then we did get Diagon Alley, which is great. So
As
ours
a
is still
person
the
who
best.
doesn't like Star Wars, I guess for everyone else.
Can I join that club?
Yes, that's our club. I would like to be able to visit somewhere where I don't have to see it.
So you're saying, you don't like that it's
I
going to
want
be
it to
like
be
a big
only in
land
one
every
place.
park.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. I'm thrilled that you all are excited about it. I really am. It holds virtually no interest for me.
I'm not-
I think I'm
I'm
going to
not gonna
enjoy
go.
walking through it.
I don't care.
But it's not.
I'm not sad, but I don't.
I'm probably not going to dress up.
Understand.
Toy Story Land is my thing. That's what I'm excited for.
I think the Star Wars was a missed opportunity. It's the Black Spire outpost. I think they could have made the other park a different outpost, so it would have been like traveling through this universe into different locations. So that's where I feel like,
Instead of
as amazing as it is, and as big of a feat that would have been.
Okay, Veruca.
Yeah, but right now we're still in this theme park wars where part of the thought that goes into everything is we need the most popular stuff. We need to do it as quickly as possible, and we need to do it for as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
And I know cheaply it's not a word, but with something like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it just makes sense to just clone it and have it in two different places the exact same. That saves a lot of money on coming up with other ideas and concepts for it. That's why Universal did it in Hollywood, because the Hollywood park was turning into an absolute mess that's just disgusting. And so by cloning the Wizarding World almost exactly, that saves money right away. Because
Let's look at it from a fan perspective. Does this make it now easier that this Star Wars land is in two parks? Because not everyone is going to rush to Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make Walt Disney World so crowded and so crazy because people can experience it on both coasts.
Well, see, that's what I wanted. I wanted to keep all the crazy
Is that
Star
what
Wars
you wanted
people
to
in
do?
one place.
I'd like you to build it on an island somewhere. Not have to go near it. I mean, so, again, I'm playing devil's advocate on both sides of this, but
Do we know for sure that it's an exact replica?
yeah, it's pretty much exact replica.
Yeah, but I mean,
gonna be
like
the same rides.
We
It's gonna
still
be
have
the same thing.
conversations about which haunted mansion is better, there or here.
There'll be tweaks and there'll be differences that way. But
So I think there are still going to be people who want to see both.
well, I think that's natural for any Disney fan. You still want to see it. You still want. We talked about this on the show too. I wanted to see, pirates in every park, and you want to see Jungle Cruise, and you want to see how they do it different. But I think that for some of us who come to Walt Disney World because that's the easiest place to get to, there's a little bit of selfishness.
Well,
Like,
I also
want it
think
all.
there's so much more here. And I'm not suggesting you don't visit other parks, but here we have 4 parks.
There's a lot more places for stuff,
Right.
where they can actually put
With 4,
stuff.
right?
So now, what should they bring here? With that said, where we don't want them to clone rides, what should they bring here?
Well, some of the stuff I want, I don't know. I did want the Tron ride, and I want the Marvel stuff, but that'll never happen. So that'll be one of those, like, we're going to have to go to California to experience that whenever that
I
finally
don't think the
starts
Marvel
happening.
stuff will happen here. Won't happen here.
I think that their thing with Universal is going to keep it in their park for years and years and years. I don't think that'll never ever happen here, but it's going to be fully formed in the Asian parks and in California before we even break ground on anything. I think at least anything like big and a major thing. I think we'll get little things like Guardians, and then I don't know the rumors about they're trying to make a Black Panther thing somewhere, but I don't know if that's part of their contract or what the deal is. But
That makes you sad, doesn't it?
it does.
A little bit of therapy going
Yeah.
on right here.
It does.
But then you have something to look forward to, though, when you go somewhere else.
I do. I absolutely do. And you
Something
know what?
different.
It does make it a little more exciting to be like plan the trip and go and see
Yeah.
that stuff. You know, I'd love to see like a Pixar land done like how they did Cars Land. I'd like to see something on that level done somewhere else. That would really make me go somewhere else too. You know, if they were like, this is our version of Cars Land, I'd be there in a second. Like, I don't even like cars.
Me neither.
All right. So that was an exciting conversation, I think.
You think?
I'm not
I
quite
would
sure.
like them to build a land where they bring back attractions.
Oh my gosh! Like the Forgotten Land or
Yeah,
something.
you
That would
know.
be cool.
Yesterday's attractions,
Yes.
but updated. I would like that.
Yes.
That would thrill me.
Like the one where you could fly. I felt like you were flying. I loved that attraction.
you had
Over the
wings.
night.
If you had
Yes.
wings,
Oh
you'd
my
have
gosh.
wings.
that would be cool.
I would like that. That
Make
would
that
excite
happen.
me.
Make that happen.
Would you guys who are used to the newer technology and the newer stuff coming out, is that something that excite you? Would you say, if I could experience this ride the way it was 50 years ago?
Well, we talk about that on Universal a lot too. Is I do feel like I you know, nostalgia and like retro stuff is big right now and a part of our culture that.
I mean, look at our logo.
Yeah, exactly. And so it is something that it would be interesting. Like, so if they created a dedicated area and they had certain types of attractions set up that could be changed in and out somehow or another to simulate. I mean, if we've advanced far enough past these other attractions, it shouldn't be that much or that difficult to kind of bring them back in a way and make like a retro land.
Imagine if they took Disney Quest and instead of changing it, they gutted it and allowed sort of rooms.
That would be cool.
Where one room could be Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
And do that
Oh
for
my
Julie.
gosh,
That would be
I
really
would
cool.
live there.
Well, they could do it almost with vehicles, and you'd think like projection mapping and stuff like that is essentially you could have like a white room with a white
Like the
vehicle.
Void
and
almost. You could do
do
virtual
something like
reality.
that, but with old attractions like Mr. Toad or, you know,
If you had wings.
I mean, honoring the history of the park seems like a good idea to me.
I love that
It'd
idea.
be like you're talking about like where you would ride through and see all these things.
Essentially, you could customize the attraction to be what you want it to be when you want it to be, to create sort of a simulator of what was. So it wouldn't be the same thing, but you'd have kind of the experience of movement and motion, and you would do it with screen mapping and
Well,
stuff like
Disney
that.
Quest had Hyperspace Mountain or whatever that thing
Yeah,
was
where you
called.
could like build them.
Yeah, that's not what it was called.
Real
But,
sick.
Yeah, I like that.
but you could do that.
Is that the one where you were in the giant rock tumbler?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the rock tumbler, right? And everyone wanted to make the craziest roller coaster, and they all got sick and couldn't do it anymore. But that's the idea.
Yeah.
Is that perhaps you could have that,
Yeah.
and then with some sort of virtual glasses or something, recreate all
Yeah, and
Disney
they
rides.
they could change them out as they go, you know, stuff like that. You could see old Soren again or something
I
like
mean,
that.
we just got an email about aging. We just heard a thing
About
on the news
aging?
that the
Got your
baby
AARP
boomers-
letter or
Shut up. That the largest group of folks, the baby boomers, are aging, and it was the thing about
We're a
Social
big
Security.
group. We're a big group.
But I mean, I have to imagine that there's a great deal of nostalgia
Yes.
out there, and I love the history of the parks, and I love the nostalgia of the parks, and
We
I
want
kind of
that
mourn
back.
when they take out things that
That I love.
that I loved exactly.
How much would you pay to ride an old ride? How much would you pay to ride?
I'd
if-
pay
I'm an
a lot.
annual pass holder, so I'm going to get to do it for free.
No, let's say they open a Disney Quest and it's or
I
a
would pay for an
Void.
extra ticket.
I would pay definitely.
I mean, like, it's like going to a museum, kind of. I don't think it's much different than
It's like
honoring our past.
blast from the past.
It could be a ride through a museum. That would be fun. But I love museums.
Well, I
ride
think
on a little car. That'd be so great.
I think there's history here.
The movie Idiocracy is coming through my head where they go through that blast from the past, that Back to the Future ride, and it's all the old stuff that's no longer.
All right, so I think this is a good
Okay.
place to end it because
Woo.
Teresa's gone completely off the
I
rails.
have. I'm just sitting here thinking about that.
I hope everybody at home had a chance to think about that and maybe give us some information, give us some feedback. What do you think about the way that Disney is bringing attractions to each park and sort of, in my opinion, the parks are more homogenized now, or you think it's a good thing, you think it's a bad thing? We'd like to hear your opinion on that.
I'm sorry, I told you to shut up.
With that said,
It's okay.
Oh,
I'll just
good.
call me when we're done and apologize. It's okay.
with that said, thank you, everybody. You guys, thank you for participating here and being part of the conversation. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. That'll do it for the Diz Unplugged. Stop watching.